They broke you, didn't they? Not with a single moment, but a slow, deliberate series of cuts. Words sharpened like blades, smiles that hid daggers, promises made just to be shattered in your hands like brittle glass. They didn't just hurt you. No, they studied you, found your softness and sunk their knives in the most vulnerable places. You remember the silence more than the screams, the moments when you needed a hand and found only absence, the nights you begged the ceiling to collapse in mercy because the weight inside was heavier than gravity. And the worst part, no one saw it. The world kept spinning while you stayed frozen, invisible, unacknowledged. But here's the truth you never asked for. Your pain was the blueprint. They thought they were dismantling you, but brick by brick, blow by blow, they were outlining something far more terrifying, a design. They didn't just leave you broken. They left you with the instructions. That betrayal, blueprint. That abandonment, blueprint. That childhood wound no one cared to understand. A line, a mark, a shape in the plan. Everything they did to you, everything they failed to give you wasn't the end. It was architecture. You were never meant to crumble. You were meant to construct. But to build, you first had to fall. You had to feel every floor collapse, every illusion disintegrate. You had to lose your voice so you could hear the one rising inside you, raw and ragged but real. The blueprint only becomes visible in ruins, only when the dust settles and you're kneeling in what's left of your former self do you see it, the design hidden beneath the destruction. You see, the world teaches us that pain is something to escape, to numb, to bury. But what if pain is a map? What if every moment you were gutted wasn't meant to end you, but to draw the first line of your next self? They didn't break you, they revealed you. And yes, it hurt. God, it hurt. The kind of ache that crawls into your bones and rearranges your silence. The kind of agony that teaches you to stop hoping because hoping felt like inviting more pain. But look at you, still breathing, still bleeding, still here. And whether you know it or not, every breath you take is defiance. You're not weak. You were just under construction. Let me take you back to the moment you realized no one was coming to save you. That hollow, that void, that betrayal. You remember the date, the smell, the sound of it? Maybe it was your family. Maybe a lover. Maybe a dream you wrapped yourself in like armor, only to watch it rot on your skin. They laughed while you crumbled. They watched while you drowned. But the day they buried you in silence, they didn't know they were planning a storm. You didn't die in the dark. You transformed. You cocooned in agony. You listened to the voices inside you, the ones they told you to ignore. The voice that said, this isn't the end. The whisper that muttered, there's more. And that whisper became a scream. That scream became a blueprint. That blueprint became your revenge. Not the kind of revenge they expect. Not petty, not loud, but holy, strategic, constructive. You won't burn their world. You'll build one so high, so savage in its excellence, they'll have to watch you rise with the same eyes they once used to look down. Let them remember the version of you they betrayed. Let them meet the one their cruelty created. Because pain doesn't destroy architects. It commissions them. And now, you build. There comes a moment quiet, unannounced, when something inside you shifts. It doesn't explode. It doesn't scream. It doesn't even blink. It just decides. It decides that the story you've been handed, the one written in betrayal, abandonment, ridicule, and failure, isn't the one you're going to die with. That's the moment the architect awakens. You see, every blueprint begins with chaos. The architect never starts with perfection. They start with broken beams and scorched earth. They walk the wreckage and see what no one else can see, a cathedral rising from the ash. And now, that architect is you. You are not what happened to you. Let me say that again, louder this time for the part of you still whispering the old lies. You are not what happened to you. You are what you decide to build from it. There's a lie they fed you, that your scars are shameful, that your past defines your ceiling, that the pain you carry is too heavy to ever lift you higher. They wanted you to stay small, to stay silent, to stay in the box they buried you in, but you got tired of asking, why me? And somewhere between your last tear and your next breath, you started whispering, watch me. That's the shift. That's the birth of the builder. The day you realize that everything you've endured wasn't the end, it was the raw material. The steel, the stone, the sacred ruin that would become your throne. You see, the architect doesn't deny the damage. They study it. They honor it. Then they redesign the whole damn thing. Because here's the truth no one told you. The most powerful people you've ever admired weren't lucky they were forged. They were molded by sleepless nights, betrayal from blood, dreams burned down and rebuilt with bare hands. You are no different. Your rage is not a weakness. It's your fuel. Your resilience isn't a fluke. It's your blueprint. Your intelligence isn't accidental. It's your tool. And your discipline? That's your weapon. You don't need their permission. You don't need their applause. You don't even need their belief. All you need is the audacity to pick up a hammer made from your own heartbreak and start building. No, you won't be perfect. Yes, you'll bleed again. But this time, it won't be wasted. This time, the blood writes blueprints. The story they wrote for you was small, filled with ceilings and chains and quiet desperation. But the architect inside you has a different vision, one that defies the noise, one that rises above the ruins, one that dares to say, you thought this was where I'd end? No, this is where I begin. You're not here to survive anymore. You're here to construct. Construct a life that reflects your fire, not your fear. Construct a mind that bends steel and silences every doubt. Construct a future where your name echoes in places built from your pain. Yes, the world hurt you. Yes, they underestimated you. Yes, even the mirror betrayed you at times. But now you are the architect. You're not rebuilding who you were. You're redesigning who you were meant to be. Stronger, colder, smarter, louder, focused, unrelenting. You build alone. You build in silence. You build while the world sleeps on your name. And one day, they will stand in the empire you forged from pain and wonder how they missed the rise of a storm disguised as a soul. There is a villain no one else sees. It doesn't wear a mask. It doesn't hold a knife. It doesn't kick down your door in the middle of the night. It whispers. It waits. It lives behind your ribs, quiet, patient, venomous. And it knows exactly where you bleed. We talk about enemies like they're always outside us. Bullies, ex-lovers, fake friends, broken systems. And yes, they leave scars. But they are not the ones who hold your future hostage. No, the real assassin is much closer. It wears your face. It uses your voice. It speaks in your mother's disapproval, your father's silence, your society's judgment. And it doesn't shout. It suggests, you'll never be enough. Why even try? This is who you are broken. You want to know why your progress always feels like 2 steps forward, 5 steps back? It's because you've been fighting a war without facing the general. And that general is self-doubt. It's fear dressed up as logic. It's trauma pretending to be truth. It's that shadow in your mind that always arrives when the light does. When things start going right, it shows up. When people start believing in you, it creeps in. When you dare to dream bigger, it wraps its fingers around your throat and whispers, don't get your hopes up, because hope is dangerous to a mind still chained to pain. You see, the war outside is loud, but the war inside is louder. Louder because it knows every weakness, every memory, every button to press. And worst of all, it knows how to sound reasonable. It doesn't tell you you're worthless. No, it's smarter than that. It tells you you're almost good enough. It tells you maybe one day. It tells you to wait, to delay, to prepare a little more, to stay small, just in case. That voice isn't your conscience. That voice is your cage. And you've listened to it long enough. You've fed it. You've nurtured it. You've obeyed it. Now it's time to kill it. Because here's the truth. The loudest traitor lives behind your ribs. Silence it. You want transformation? Then start with the execution. Not of people, not of pasts, but of the internal narrative that has kept you gasping for air every time you reach for more. Yes, Fear will scream louder when you approach the edge of your potential. Yes, doubt will shake the floor when you're about to leap. But those are the death throes of a dying prison. Let it die. You've coddled your fear long enough. You've prayed at the altar of doubt long enough. You've mistaken comfort for peace, when in reality, it was just quiet suffocation. Every time you held back because of what if, every time you stayed silent to avoid rejection, every time you told yourself, maybe later, that wasn't protection. That was poison. You drank it in tiny sips, day after day, until you couldn't remember who you were without the taste of limitation. But not anymore, because you're starting to see it now, aren't you? You're starting to recognize that the bars around your life were forged in thought, not reality. Your enemy was never the failure. Your enemy was the voice that convinced you to never try. And that voice, it's terrified of your awakening. Because once you see it for what it is, you can't unsee it. Once you name it, you can fight it. Once you challenge it, you begin to lead yourself. This is the turning point, not when you destroy the outer world, but when you reclaim dominion over your inner one. When you say, I hear you, doubt, but I'm not yours anymore. I see you, fear, but I no longer bow to you. I know your tricks, self-sabotage, and I choose different, because you're not a slave to your past. You're not a puppet of your pain. You are not the echo of everyone who failed you. You are the silence after the scream. You are the stillness before the breakthrough. You are the hand that builds and the sword that severs the lies. It's time to stop looking in the mirror and seeing your failures. Start seeing your forge. You are not broken. You are being shaped. And every voice inside that says otherwise, bury it deep in the silence of your no. There is a villain no one else sees. It doesn't wear a mask. It doesn't hold a knife. It doesn't kick down your door in the middle of the night. It whispers. It waits. It lives behind your ribs, quiet, patient, venomous. And it knows exactly where you bleed. We talk about enemies like they're always outside us. Bullies, ex-lovers, fake friends, broken systems. And yes, they leave scars. But they are not the ones who hold your future hostage. No, the real assassin is much closer. It wears your face. It uses your voice. It speaks in your mother's disapproval, your father's silence, your society's judgment. And it doesn't shout. It suggests. You'll never be enough. Why even try? This is who you are broken. You want to know why your progress always feels like 2 steps forward, 5 steps back? It's because you've been fighting a war without facing the general, and that general is self-doubt. It's fear dressed up as logic. It's trauma pretending to be truth. It's that shadow in your mind that always arrives when the light does. When things start going right, it shows up. When people start believing in you, it creeps in. When you dare to dream bigger, it wraps its fingers around your throat and whispers, "Don't get your hopes up," because hope is dangerous to a mind still chained to pain. You see, the war outside is loud, but the war inside is louder. Louder because it knows every weakness, every memory, every button to press. And worst of all, it knows how to sound reasonable. It doesn't tell you you're worthless. No, it's smarter than that. It tells you you're almost good enough. It tells you maybe one day. It tells you to wait, to delay, to prepare a little more, to stay small just in case. That voice isn't your conscience. That voice is your cage. And you've listened to it long enough. You've fed it. You've nurtured it. You've obeyed it. Now it's time to kill it. Because here's the truth. The loudest traitor lives behind your ribs. Silence it. You want transformation? Then start with the execution. Not of people. Not of pasts. But of the internal narrative that has kept you gasping for air every time you reach for more. Yes, fear will scream louder when you approach the edge of your potential. Yes, doubt will shake the floor when you're about to leap. But those are the death throes of a dying prison. Let it die. You've coddled your fear long enough. You've prayed at the altar of doubt long enough. You've mistaken comfort for peace, when in reality it was just quiet suffocation. Every time you held back because of what if, Every time you stayed silent to avoid rejection. Every time you told yourself, maybe later. That wasn't protection. That was poison. You drank it in tiny sips, day after day, until you couldn't remember who you were without the taste of limitation. But not anymore, because you're starting to see it now, aren't you? You're starting to recognize that the bars around your life were forged in thought, not reality. Your enemy was never the failure. Your enemy was the voice that convinced you to never try. And that voice, it's terrified of your awakening. Because once you see it for what it is, you can't unsee it. Once you name it, you can fight it. Once you challenge it, you begin to lead yourself. This is the turning point, not when you destroy the outer world, but when you reclaim dominion over your inner one. When you say, I hear you, doubt, but I'm not yours anymore. I see you, fear, but I no longer bow to you. I know your tricks, self-sabotage, and I choose different. Because you're not a slave to your past. You're not a puppet of your pain. You are not the echo of everyone who failed you. You are the silence after the scream. You are the stillness before the breakthrough. You are the hand that builds and the sword that severs the lies. It's time to stop looking in the mirror and seeing your failures. Start seeing your forge. You are not broken. You are being shaped. And every voice inside that says otherwise, bury it deep in the silence of your no. There's a fire in you, isn't there? It's been burning quietly beneath every smile you forced, every time you swallowed your truth, every time they disrespected you and you said nothing. It's there in the pit of your stomach when someone talks over you. It's there in the corner of your soul when you see them win by cheating while you suffer by trying to do it right. It's there in your clenched fists, your sleepless nights, your quiet tears. And you've been told to hide it, tame it, numb it. They said, don't be angry. Anger is dangerous. No, repression is dangerous. You were never meant to be numb. You were meant to burn. They wanted your rage to explode, to destroy you, to make you reckless, to make you collapse under the weight of your own fury. But you didn't give them the show. You didn't explode. You absorbed. You transmuted. You built an empire with it. That's what they never saw coming. They never imagined that the same rage they tried to weaponize against you would become your fuel, refined, sharpened, unshakable. This isn't the kind of rage that lashes out in chaos. This is the quiet rage of someone who no longer begs. This is the cold fire of someone who stopped asking for a seat at the table and started building their own hall. You see, rage isn't the enemy. Rage is the signal. It tells you, this is not right. It tells you, I deserve better. It tells you, enough. And if you ignore it, it will consume you. But if you honor it, if you master it, it becomes a blade. Precise, controlled, lethal. Let them call you bitter. Let them call you difficult. Let them call you intense. Let them call you angry. Because rage is not the end. It's the beginning of reclamation. You are no longer here to politely explain your worth. You are here to embody it with terrifying clarity. Every injustice, fuel. Every betrayal, fuel. Every time they underestimated you, mocked you, laughed at your dream, fuel. You take it all. You grind it down, and you feed the fire, but not to burn it all down. To build a body they can't break, a mind they can't manipulate, a legacy they can't erase. The fire beneath your ashes. It's not just survival. It's blueprint. It's prophecy. It's proof that you are not finished. Let them sleep on you. Let them mock the fire they can't feel. Because while they were throwing stones, you were laying bricks. You are not the victim of your rage. You are the sculptor of it. You don't just feel it. You direct it. You don't just carry it. You harness it. You don't scream to be heard anymore. You move in silence, and the world watches your smoke. They don't see it, do they? They don't see the nights you don't sleep, the mornings you rise before the sun even knows you're alive, the meals you forget, the invitations you decline, the hours you pour into something that still doesn't look like anything yet. But you see it. You see the shape forming in the shadows. You see the empire rising in slow, silent inches. This is the season of building in the dark, the most brutal and holy part of the process. No applause. No spotlight. No one checking in to make sure you're okay. Just you, your scars, your grind, and your obsession. While they partied, you planned. While they laughed, you learned. While they slept peacefully, you were pouring blood into bricks. You weren't chasing aesthetics. You were building infrastructure. Because you know what they forget. Cathedrals are built underground first. Before anyone sees the tower, the architect digs into the dirt. He lays stone after stone in silence. No claps. No audience. Only the ache in his spine and the whisper in his mind that says, keep going. That whisper is your anthem now. Every day you lay one more brick. Sometimes it's progress. Sometimes it's failure. Sometimes it's just the decision to not quit. But it counts. It all counts. Let them sleep. Let them mock. Let them scroll past your silence. Because when the structure finally rises, when the dust clears and the steel glows under morning sun, they'll call you an overnight success. But you'll know the truth. You didn't rise overnight. You rose through every night they thought you disappeared. This part is ugly. This part is lonely. This part requires faith without evidence. You plant seeds no one else believes in and water them with your own exhaustion. But this is where the real ones are made. Not in front of the camera, not on the stage, but in the silence, in the shadows, in the suffering that no one else is willing to endure. And that's what makes you dangerous. Because you're not waiting to be seen. You're not waiting for permission. You're building regardless. No blueprint ever turns into a building without blood, without failure, without madness. Yes, madness. That wild, unexplainable drive to keep going when logic says stop. When your body screams to rest. When your friends don't understand you anymore. When your bank account mocks you. When nothing around you reflects the fire inside you, but you keep swinging. That's not weakness. That's obsession. That's sacred. That's the price. They want the reward without the ruin. You're willing to bleed for it. Not because you're desperate, but because you know that in the end, the building is worth every broken bone it took to raise it. The world doesn't remember those who dreamed. It remembers those who built. And builders are forged in the dark. They thought they killed you. Not with blades or bullets, but with silence, with doubt, with indifference. They buried you beneath expectations, under labels, inside the coffin of who you used to be. They walked away, dusted their hands, and laughed behind your back. They'll never come back from that, they said. And for a while, they were right. You vanished. You disappeared beneath the weight of betrayal, heartbreak, exhaustion. The world kept spinning while you sank deeper and deeper into the abyss of yourself. You didn't scream. You didn't beg. You just vanished. But here's the truth no one wants to admit. Sometimes you have to die to become dangerous. The old, you had to go. The soft version, the apologetic version, the tame, hopeful, obedient version who still waited to be rescued. They buried that person, and unknowingly, they did you a favor. Because the one who's rising now, the one who clawed their way through the dirt with bare hands and bleeding knuckles, that version is unrecognizable even to you. You walked through hell, and you didn't come back empty-handed. You came back with weapons, with wisdom, with war in your lungs and scars that scream of survival. They wouldn't know how to talk to you now. They wouldn't know how to manipulate you. They wouldn't even recognize your voice because it no longer trembles. You used to be haunted by them. Now you're the ghost. You haunt their memory. You haunt the space they thought you'd never rise from. You haunt the version of themselves they'll never become because they never had the courage to break. You didn't just survive. You transformed. And that transformation wasn't pretty. It wasn't motivational posters and morning routines. It was loneliness, isolation, annihilation. It was sobbing into the void and hearing nothing back. It was rebuilding yourself with zero blueprint, because even you didn't know who you were becoming. But now you do. Now you look in the mirror and see someone whose eyes don't blink anymore. Someone who doesn't flinch. Someone who no longer needs to be liked, accepted, or understood. Because this version of you, this ghost version, is free. Free from expectation. Free from identity. Free from the chains of needing to be who you were. They can't hurt you anymore. Not because they stopped trying, but because you're not there anymore. They buried you, but you learned how to haunt them. And the most terrifying thing about a ghost? You can't control it. You can't kill it. And you never see it coming until it's too late. Let them keep talking about the old you. Let them keep throwing shade on the grave they left behind. They don't even know who they're dealing with anymore. You're not here to prove anything. You're here to become something they never imagined. Unshakable, untouchable, unrecognizable. You never announced your exit. You just vanished into the silence, into the shadows, into the grind. No goodbyes, no explanations. No, you'll see one day, because you understood something most never do. The greatest revenge isn't declared, it's designed. Now you return not with fireworks, not with noise, not even with a smirk. You return with a calm so deep it terrifies. You return with silence so loud it shakes their bones. You return with presence, with pressure, with power, because you don't need to prove anything anymore. You are the proof. They asked, "Where did you go?" And the answer is simple. You went underground to build what would one day stand over them, while they stayed the same, arguing, mocking, performing. You became a storm in silence. You stopped defending yourself. You stopped responding to disrespect. You stopped chasing closure. Why? Because you became the closure. You understood that the true revenge isn't clapping back. It's coming back so strong, so elevated, so unreachable they don't even know how to approach you anymore. No more look at me now. No more proving the doubters wrong. That's too small for who you've become. This isn't about being seen. This is about being felt. And they will feel you. In the rooms where your name is spoken with respect. In the deals you close without ever needing their help. In the success that arrived with no cosigns, no shortcuts, no apologies. You didn't get here by chance. You got here by bleeding in silence. You didn't post every step. You didn't announce every win. You just built, brick by brutal brick. And now, they'll hear your name in rooms you never entered. That's revenge. You're not bitter. You're better. You're not angry. You're aware. You're not loud. You're lethal. They don't get access anymore. Not because you hate them, but because you outgrew the table they kept shrinking to keep you small. Let them keep asking where you went. Let them wonder how you did it. Let them scroll through your success in silence, tasting every regret they tried to hand you. Because that's the sweetest part of this kind of revenge. They'll never know how close they were to destroying you, and how beautifully they failed. You are no longer interested in vengeance fueled by ego. You're operating from something deeper, from peace, from precision, from presence. They won't see you coming, because you're not coming with noise. You're coming with legacy. The world worships motivation. You don't. Motivation is fleeting. It's emotional. It vanishes when you're tired, when you're broken, when no one's watching. And that's why you buried it. You don't need motivation. You need orders. And now you give them to yourself. Because this isn't about feeling like doing it. It's about becoming the kind of person who does it anyway. There's a switch that flips in people like you, the ones who are done waiting for perfect conditions. And once it flips, nothing's ever the same. You don't wake up and hope. You wake up and execute. You are the architect of your future, and architects don't ask the blueprint how they feel. They show up. They measure. They cut. They place stone after stone with precision, with patience, with fire behind their eyes. Discipline isn't punishment. It's freedom through structure. It's what separates the empire builders from the excuse makers. Because anyone can have vision, but only the disciplined can give vision form. There are no negotiations anymore. No, I don't feel like it. No, I'll do it later. No, I'm too tired. You feel tired? Good. That means you're working. You feel pressure? Good. That means you're growing. You feel alone? Good. That means no one's interfering with your orders. This is where mental toughness begins, not in loud declarations, but in quiet decisions. You get up when it's inconvenient. You train when no one claps. You write, build, run, create when the world says rest. Because your legacy doesn't take weekends. You have non-negotiables now. Things that get done no matter how you feel. Maybe it's the gym. Maybe it's journaling. Maybe it's 10 pages a day, or one cold shower, or waking up before dawn, but it gets done every day, no matter what, because you're no longer at war with the world. You're at war with your weaker self, and you're winning. That's the architect's mindset. It's not sexy. It's not glamorous. It's not made for Instagram. It's made in silence, built in darkness, proven in consistency. They wonder how you became unshakable. Here's the answer. You gave yourself orders when everyone else waited for motivation. You became your own general, your own coach, your own enforcer. You got sick of quitting on yourself. You got tired of negotiating with the voice that always wanted comfort. So you rewrote the rules. Now your habits are sacred. Your routines are battle-tested. Your thoughts weaponized. You've mastered the mornings. You've mastered your reactions. You've mastered your time, because time, energy, and focus are no longer random. They're deployed with intent, and when you live with that kind of discipline, the world moves out of your way. You thought the suffering was senseless. You thought it would leave you hollow. You thought it would break you and scatter you to the wind. But look around now. Look closely. The pain didn't destroy you. It instructed you. It revealed you. It equipped you. Every heartbreak, every betrayal, every time life slammed a door in your face, it was handing you bricks. Not soft ones, not clean ones. Jagged, bloody, bone-cracked bricks. And you took those bones and you began to build. Not a shelter, not a bunker, not a hiding place. A cathedral. A structure so sacred, so powerful, so impossible to ignore it silences everything that came before. You carved your cathedral from the bones they left behind, and now the echoes of your pain rise as music through the stone. This is what they never tell you about suffering. It's not wasted. It's not for nothing. It's not just something to survive. It's the raw material of legacy. You weren't just meant to heal. You were meant to turn your healing into architecture, to build something immortal out of what almost killed you. Your art, your message, your company, your book, your body, your mind, your voice. That's the cathedral. That's what they can't erase. You could have stayed in the rubble. You could have made a bed out of your grief. You could have let bitterness consume the rest of your years. But you chose alchemy. You turned trauma into testimony. You turned shame into sculpture. You turned silence into sound. And now you build not just for yourself. Now you build for those who are still buried, still bleeding, still questioning if their pain has a purpose. You show them what it can become. You show them what's possible beyond the breakdown. That's legacy. It's not about being remembered. It's about building something that remembers others. You didn't just escape hell. You mapped it. You documented it. You marked the exits. So others can follow. So others can breathe. The world needs more than your survival. It needs your structure. It needs your strength turned outward. It needs what only you can offer because only you lived that specific pain. And now it has meaning. Now it has shape. Now it has impact. The suffering didn't end with you. It flows through you into others. You've become a living cathedral, a sacred monument, a walking reminder that pain can either be a grave or the foundation of something eternal. They thought you were the casualty, a wounded soul, a failed project, a ghost dragging chains through the wreckage of your own life. They pitied you, mocked you, erased you. They thought they broke you, but what they broke was only the casing.